The courtroom was full. People sat quietly on the benches waiting for the judge to arrive. Some whispered to each other. Others looked at their phones or watched the door. Everyone was here to see a special case. A boy, just 10 years old, was about to speak in court. His name was Daniel. He was small, quiet, and had big, curious eyes. He wore a clean white shirt, black pants, and shiny shoes. He looked nervous but brave. He sat beside his lawyer, a kind woman named Mrs. Jenkins. Across the room sat a large German shepherd. It was a police dog, strong and well-trained. The dog sat still beside its handler, Officer Ray. But it kept looking at Daniel, like it was waiting for something. The judge, an older man with gray hair and kind eyes, entered the room. Everyone stood. "You may be seated," he said in a calm voice. The courtroom fell silent again. "This case is about the missing painting," the judge said. "A very valuable painting was stolen. But now, something strange has happened. The police dog found the missing painting, but not in the place we expected." Everyone leaned forward. The air felt thick with curiosity. No one understood how the painting was found. And why was a 10-year-old boy sitting here? "Daniel," the judge said, "we know you were near the museum that day. Do you have anything to tell us?" Daniel looked around the courtroom. He saw many eyes on him. Some people looked angry. Some looked surprised. A few looked worried. Daniel slowly stood up. "I didn't take the painting," he said in a soft voice, "but I saw something. And I know someone who can help." "Who is that?" the judge asked. Daniel didn't answer. Instead, he turned his head toward the police dog. He raised his right hand and made a small movement with his fingers. It looked like a secret signal, something simple like a child waving or drawing a circle in the air. The dog stood up. Everyone gasped. Officer Ray held the dog's leash tightly. "What's going on?" he asked. Daniel made another small hand motion. The dog began to walk toward him. Officer Ray tried to stop it, but the dog pulled harder. The judge leaned forward. "Is this your dog, Daniel?" Daniel shook his head. "No, but I trained him. A long time ago." Whispers filled the courtroom. Mrs. Jenkins looked at Daniel in shock. Officer Ray looked confused. "That's not possible," he said. "This dog has been with me for years." Daniel looked at Officer Ray. "Do you remember where you got him from?" Ray paused. "From a rescue center, 2 years ago." Daniel nodded. "That was my uncle's center. I helped train dogs there. I taught this one special commands." Everyone looked at the dog. It now sat beside Daniel, calm and quiet. Its eyes were on him, like it was ready to listen. The judge spoke again. "Daniel, if you can prove this, it may change everything. Do you know where the painting is, or who took it?" Daniel nodded. "Yes, but I need the dog's help to show you." The room went silent again. No one moved. The judge looked at Officer Ray. "Let him try." Officer Ray slowly handed the leash to Daniel. Daniel held it gently. He whispered something to the dog. Then he made 3 quick signals with his hands. The dog turned toward the back of the courtroom. It walked slowly, nose to the ground, stopping near a tall man sitting in the corner. "The man looked nervous, that's him," Daniel said quietly. "He took the painting." Gasps filled the room. The man tried to stand, but 2 police officers rushed to his side and stopped him. The judge looked shocked. "Who is this man?" he asked. "He works at the museum," Daniel said. "I saw him near the painting before. It went missing." "I told the dog to remember his smell." The judge stared at Daniel. "This is unbelievable." Daniel didn't smile. He looked tired, like he had been holding a big secret for a long time. The judge leaned back in his chair. "We will take a short break. But I must say, young man, I did not expect this today." As people stood and began to leave the courtroom for the break, the judge whispered to himself, "This boy, he's not ordinary." Daniel sat down again, petting the dog gently. The courtroom was full of questions and everyone wanted answers. But one thing was clear. This story was just beginning. After the courtroom break, everyone returned to their seats. People whispered to each other. They were still shocked. How did a young boy train a police dog? How did he know who took the painting? Daniel sat quietly beside the dog. The judge looked at him carefully. Daniel, he said, we need to know more. How did you train this dog? Why didn't anyone tell us before? Daniel looked down at his hands. No one asked, he said. And people don't believe kids like me. Mrs. Jenkins, his lawyer, touched his arm. It's okay. Tell the truth now. Daniel took a deep breath. 2 years ago, I lived with my uncle. He owned a dog shelter in the countryside. I spent most of my time there, feeding dogs, cleaning cages, but also training them. The judge raised an eyebrow. You trained dogs? Daniel nodded. My uncle taught me how to use hand signals. He said it's better than shouting. Dogs understand kindness and calm better than noise. Everyone listened closely. The courtroom was silent. One day, Daniel continued, a big German shepherd came to the shelter. He was strong, smart, but scared. He didn't trust anyone. Was that the same dog? The judge asked. Yes, Daniel said. I called him Rex. Officer Ray, who once handled the dog, looked surprised. That's the name I gave him too, he whispered. Daniel smiled a little. Maybe he remembered. The judge leaned forward. So what happened next? Daniel looked serious. Rex and I became close. I taught him to follow signs. Sit, search, follow, bark once for yes, twice for no, things like that. My uncle said Rex was the best dog we had ever trained. Then, why did you leave him? Someone in the audience asked softly. Daniel's eyes grew sad. My uncle passed away. The shelter had no money. I had to move to the city with my aunt. We gave Rex to the police. Everyone was quiet for a moment. Daniel looked at the judge. I never thought I'd see him again. But when I walked into the courtroom and saw Rex, I knew he would remember me. The judge nodded. And you used the old signs to ask him who took the painting? Yes, Daniel said. I told him to follow the scent from the museum. And he led us to the courtroom buzzed again. People looked at Daniel with new respect, but the judge had more questions. Why were you at the museum that day, Daniel? Daniel hesitated. I went there to see the painting. It reminded me of my mom. She loved art. Did you see anything strange that day? The judge asked. Daniel nodded. Yes, I saw the museum worker. The man Rex found. He was acting nervous. He kept checking the cameras and looking around. Later, I saw him carrying something under his coat. The judge frowned. Why didn't you tell anyone? Daniel's voice dropped. Because when I tried, people laughed. They said I was just a poor kid trying to get attention. A silence fell over the room again. Mrs. Jenkins looked angry. That's why we're here, because people didn't believe him. The T.E. Judge looked thoughtful. Sometimes children see things that adults miss. Daniel looked up. I didn't want to cause trouble, I just wanted to help. You did more than help, the judge said. You saved the case. Officer Ray stood up slowly. Your Honor, may I say something? Yes, go ahead, the judge replied. Ray looked at Daniel. I'm sorry, kid, I had no idea. Rex is the best partner I've ever had. Now I know why. You trained him with love and care. Thank you. Daniel gave a small smile. Take good care of him. The judge looked around the courtroom. We still have to hear from the museum staff and check the evidence. But today we saw something powerful. He paused. A boy, a dog, and a truth that no one expected. The court was adjourned for the day. As people began to leave, many came to Daniel and smiled. Some shook his hand. Others just nodded in respect. Outside, the courthouse, reporters waited. Cameras flashed. People wanted to know more. But Daniel didn't say much. He just looked at Rex, who sat calmly beside him. He whispered, "Good boy, Rex. We did it." And Rex wagged his tail. The next morning, Daniel and his lawyer, Mrs. Jenkins, returned to the courtroom. But before the session started, something unexpected happened. Officer Ray walked up to them. He held an envelope in his hand. "This came to the police station last night," he said. "No name, no return address. Just this note and something strange inside." He handed it to Mrs. Jenkins. She carefully opened it. Inside was a small folded paper with just 5 words. "Look behind the golden frame." Daniel frowned. "What does that mean?" Officer Ray scratched his head. "We think it might be about the stolen painting, so I got permission to check the museum before court started." Mrs. Jenkins leaned forward. "And?" Officer Ray nodded. "There's something odd behind the frame where the stolen painting used to hang." They all rushed to the museum with the judge's permission. The gallery was quiet, the lights dim. A guard led them into the hall where the famous painting had once hung. Daniel stared at the empty spot on the wall. All that remained was the golden frame. Officer Ray stepped up and gently pulled the frame from the wall. Behind it, taped to the wall, was a small silver USB stick. "What is that?" Daniel asked. "A clue," Mrs. Jenkins whispered. They took it to the courtroom and connected it to a laptop. The screen lit up. There was only one file. Officer Ray clicked it. A video started playing. It showed the museum late at night. A security guard entered the gallery. He looked around, then turned off the security camera, but he didn't know one hidden camera was still recording. The video showed the guard removing the painting. He wrapped it in cloth and carefully put it inside a long case, then he left quickly, everyone in. The next morning, the courtroom was packed. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next in Daniel's strange case. 2 thieves were caught, but the painting was still missing, and no one knew why Daniel had been blamed in the first place. Daniel sat beside Mrs. Jenkins holding Rex's leash. The dog was calm, but his eyes stayed sharp. He seemed to be waiting for something. The judge entered the room and looked serious. "Today," he said, "we must find out the truth behind the stolen painting. It's not just about the crime, it's about the message behind it." Mrs. Jenkins stood up. "Your Honor, we've reviewed the video from the USB stick, but last night, Daniel remembered something else." Everyone turned toward Daniel. "I saw the painting up close," Daniel said, "right before I was blamed, and I saw something strange in the corner of the canvas. It looked like small letters, but I couldn't read them." The judge leaned forward. "Letters? On the painting itself?" "Yes," Daniel nodded. "They were hidden in the shadows of the art. I don't think they were part of the original painting." Officer Ray stepped in. "We searched the thief's apartment this morning. We didn't find the painting, but we found a photo of the painting taken very close up." He showed the photo on a big screen in the courtroom. Everyone gasped. In the bottom right corner, there were tiny letters. "Almost invisible unless you looked very carefully." "What does it say?" the judge asked. Mrs. Jenkins read it aloud. "Justice is hidden where truth is forgotten." The courtroom fell silent. "What does that mean?" a reporter whispered. Daniel stood up. "I think it means the painting was more than just art. It was a clue. Maybe the painter wanted to tell the world something important." Officer Ray nodded. "The artist was known for putting secret messages in his work. Maybe someone wanted that message to stay hidden." The judge looked thoughtful. "So this wasn't just theft. This was a plan to hide a truth." Mrs. Jenkins turned to Daniel. "When you first entered the museum, did anyone act strange?" Daniel thought hard. "Yes. The man who blamed me. The first thief. He didn't look surprised when the alarm went off. He smiled, just a little." Mrs. Jenkins smiled. "He wanted to get caught, to distract us." The judge's eyes widened. "So the second thief, the one who escaped with the painting, he's the one who really wanted the message hidden." Officer Ray jumped up. "We need to check the museum's secret storage room. Only a few people know about it." He rushed out with his team. Back in the courtroom, Rex suddenly barked twice and pulled his leash. Daniel followed his eyes. Rex was staring at the courtroom janitor, who was trying to sneak out the back door. "Wait," Daniel shouted. "That man, Rex is signaling again." Guards quickly stopped the janitor. Officer Ray returned just then and saw what was happening. "That's him," he shouted. That's the missing guard, the one who helped hide the painting. The man tried to run, but it was too late. He was caught. The judge ordered him to be brought to the front. Where is the painting? The judge asked firmly. The man stayed quiet. But then Rex gave one long, low growl. His eyes locked on the man. The guard finally spoke. It's behind the wall, in the museum's basement, behind the old bricks, he muttered. Officer Ray quickly sent his team to search. 30 minutes later, they returned with the missing painting, wrapped safely in cloth. There was no damage. But more important, the tiny hidden message in the corner was real. The judge stood. This is more than a theft. This was a plan to erase a message of truth. But thanks to Daniel and Rex, justice has returned. The whole courtroom stood up and clapped. Daniel felt proud but also calm. He looked at Rex. We did it, Mrs. Jenkins smiled. You're a brave boy, Daniel, and a smart one too. The judge walked over to them. Daniel, I'm sorry you were blamed, but today you showed us all what courage looks like. Daniel shook his head. It was Rex. He saw the truth first. The judge nodded. Yes, and sometimes animals can see what people miss. As the courtroom emptied, reporters rushed to speak with Daniel, but he just held on to Rex and walked quietly out the doors. They had solved one mystery, but something told Daniel this wasn't the end. Because as they walked outside, a man in a dark suit across the street was watching them closely and smiling.